My name is Grace Asbury, and I decided to do my presentation on the social communication climate in the United States. The main points I would like to address in this are the media, the critical events in 2020 in the United States, and the COVID-19 response. Social media is an important player in these discussions. President Trump's Twitter are among some of the points I would like to discuss. It is a big enough point that Twitter is even talking about banning President Trump from the platform, and The Atlantic is reporting on that. They're doing this because time and time again he has posted fraudulent and in some cases hateful speech regarding many different aspects of the political and non-political spectrums. There have also been many disagreements on Facebook, whether they be with large groups of people or movements or just individuals discussing with their families, but it has led to discourse that is hateful and in many cases hurtful towards the individuals and towards group of people as a whole. On that point of hurtful rhetoric and discussions, Parler needs to be discussed, as it is a platform full of hate being disguised as freedom of speech, and it's set up much like Facebook. The next point that I'd like to touch on are the news outlets and the questions of the reliability of the news. Some of the things that have contributed to this are the fake news dilemma that's being spread by many Republicans, including President Trump himself, that the idea that some newscasts and news outlets are actually fake and that they show and talk about misleading and disguised news. This has led to questions about its legitimacy as a whole. One of the things that contribute to this are how news outlets flip. An example of this is how Fox News flipped on President Trump after the election and started discussing, talking about him in very similar ways to other news sources such as CNN. The next point I would like to touch on is the critical events in America. One of these, the biggest one I would say, is Black Lives Matter. The history behind this movement is very important. Its roots lie in the civil rights movement, and today the current need is extremely large as we are still facing huge discrimination against Black and brown people in America. They are suffering at higher rates. They have higher rates of violence against them. They have poorer treatment, and they have less access to proper medical treatment. According to the New York Times, it is currently the largest movement in American history, but there are still many misunderstandings around it, including the idea of white lives matter or all lives matter, where they've taken out of context what Black Lives Matter truly means. And now more than ever, support for the movement is really needed. Trans rights is another one I would like to touch on. Trans rights has become very prevalent in the past couple years, and again, it is misunderstood and the meaning behind it is miscommunicated. There is a lot of lacking scientific explanation in the public realm that people really understand, and because of that, access to medical care and human treatment is suffering for trans people, and hate speech is seen across the United States towards trans people, and in many cases violence, and the Boston Review reported on this. So we really need to research and come to understand and talk to the people who actually live through these experiences so we can come together on them as a nation. The election has led to much debate, much controversy, and in some cases large disputes. This has been because of the miscommunication over the issues and topics discussed, because of the spread of misinformation about whether or not it's fraudulent, and the future of the country as a whole. The next thing that we should touch on is the COVID-19, which everyone knows about. It's the pandemic that started last November and came to America in January. It has affected us nationally, and some states harder than others, leading to disputes about masks, about how we should respond to it, and how PPE is being distributed. And many lives have been lost because of that. And to tie that all together, as a nation, we are suffering because of political leaders not doing their jobs, because of us as a nation refusing to come together, and because of disputes and arguments happening on not only political but also social stages. Thank you.